I still remember the night they sold me. Not like a daughter, but like a product with a price tag. The rain hit the window so hard it sounded like a warning, but no one in that house ever cared about warnings. My mom's perfume was sharp and expensive, like the kind she only wore when she wanted to impress someone richer than us. My dad's cologne mixed with whiskey. That smell became the scent of betrayal for me. They told me I was lucky to be marrying a powerful man, lucky that my parents wouldn't have to worry about money anymore, lucky that I'd be living in a mansion instead of our worn-out house in Dallas. But I knew what it really meant. They were selling me to pay off their debts. "Just smile, Aaliyah," my mom whispered through gritted teeth as she tightened the silver bracelet around my wrist. "You'll thank us one day." I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip off that dress, the one they made me wear for the dinner where my fate was sealed. But I just smiled, because in that moment, I realized that sometimes silence is the loudest promise of revenge. The man they sold me to, Alexander Cross, was the kind of name people whispered about in business circles. Older, powerful, the type who could crush companies with a single phone call. His eyes were cold and unreadable the night I met him. "You're beautiful," he said flatly, as if he were evaluating a car he was about to buy. That was the night my life stopped belonging to me. The marriage wasn't love, it was a transaction. His money for their freedom, my body for their survival. Alexander wasn't cruel at first, just distant. He kept me in his mansion like a trophy wife, always quiet, always perfect. I was a decoration, something to complete his image. But I learned quickly, in a world run by men like him, power doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being underestimated. While he went to work every day, I read everything I could: finance, law, business, tech startups. I watched the market like it was a heartbeat. I started understanding how men like him played the game, not with feelings, but with numbers, loopholes, and fear. But power attracts darkness, and soon I saw his. I found out about his affairs first, the secret accounts next, then the deals that weren't legal, the bribes disguised as donations. I stayed quiet, but I started collecting screenshots, documents, proof. I wasn't his wife anymore, I was his shadow. Then one night, he crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. It was a charity gala. Everyone was watching. He grabbed my wrist too hard because I spoke to one of his business rivals. The cameras didn't see the bruises, but I felt them for weeks. That night, I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't cry again. I wouldn't be the girl who was sold. I would become the woman who owns everything they tried to take from me. I started small. Quiet investments, stocks under a fake name, a silent partner in startups. I watched as the small numbers turned into millions. Every win was a secret. Every loss was a lesson. And then, his company hit a crisis. A scandal broke, investors panicked, and I saw my chance. Using everything I had learned, I started buying shares under a new identity. A.M. Monroe. No one knew it was me. He begged for help from anyone with power. Little did he know, I was already sitting at the table controlling more than he could imagine. By the time he found out who A.M. Monroe really was, it was too late. I filed for divorce the same week I took majority control of his company. I walked into the boardroom wearing a white suit, symbolic, clean, powerful. His face when he saw me there wasn't shock, it was fear. "Aaliyah," he muttered, "what are you doing here?" I smiled, taking back what's mine. That was the last time I saw him alive. He died 6 months later. Heart attack, they said. But I didn't attend the funeral. I was too busy signing papers, transferring assets, expanding my empire. I became the CEO. The media called me the Ice Queen of Wall Street. I didn't care. I wasn't chasing their approval. I was rewriting my story. But even then, I couldn't forget the night it all began. The night my parents sold me like I was nothing. I thought I'd buried that pain. I thought success had healed me, until one afternoon, I got a letter, handwritten, from my father. "Aaliyah, we've fallen on hard times again. We need help. Please come home." I laughed so hard, I cried. Home? The word didn't feel real anymore. But then I thought, maybe it was time. Not for closure, not for forgiveness, for revenge. I booked a flight to Dallas. When I arrived, the house looked smaller. The paint was peeling, the gate hung crooked. My parents looked older, desperate, fragile. My mom ran to hug me like nothing had happened. I didn't move. "Sweetheart, you look amazing," she said. Her voice shook, not from emotion, but from nerves. We didn't mean for things to happen that way. We were just scared. Scared? I wanted to laugh. "I sold you," I said quietly. "You didn't even ask if I wanted to go." My dad stepped forward, his hands trembling. "We were drowning, Aaliyah. You think we wanted to? You were our only hope." I tilted my head. "And now you want my money to save you again?" They exchanged a look. That silence told me everything. So I smiled. "You'll get help, just not the kind you expect." They didn't know it yet, but I had already bought the land under their feet. Literally, the house, the property, the debts, all transferred to one of my subsidiaries. By the time I left that night, I owned them. My phone slipped from my hand and hit the marble floor, the screen flashing that message again. Revenge always costs more than you think. And beneath it, that photo. My parents, smiling awkwardly beside Ethan Cole. My pulse hammered in my ears. For a moment, everything around me blurred. The skyline outside my penthouse windows, the sound of my assistant's voice, even the hum of the city below. It all faded into static. He played me. Ethan, the one person I'd started to let in. My hands shook, but not from fear, from fury. "Rena," I said, my voice low, "find out where that picture was taken." She hesitated. "Ma'am? Now." She ran out. I stared at the message again, every word burning into my skin. I'd spent years building walls so no one could reach me. How the hell had he gotten inside? I pulled up my security feed, scanning the logs, tracing the leaks. Nothing. Clean. Too clean. Which meant whoever did this knew exactly how I worked. Only 2 people ever had that kind of access. Alexander and me. 2 hours later, Rena returned. "We traced it," she said. "Photo was taken at the Meridian Hotel. Yesterday, room 507. I grabbed my coat. "Ma'am, are you sure you want to—" "I'm not asking," I snapped. The drive there was a blur. The night was thick with rain, the kind that made everything glow like glass. When I reached the hotel, I didn't go through the lobby. I had the manager under contract. One call and I had access to the cameras, the room keys, everything. Room 507. I could hear muffled voices inside. My mom's sharp tone, my dad's weak laugh, and Ethan's calm, confident, familiar. I pushed the door open. They froze. "Wow," Ethan said, leaning back in his chair. "You don't waste time, do you?" "What the hell is this?" I hissed. My mom stood up first, pretending to look guilty. "Honey?" "Don't," I snapped. "You lost the right to call me that years ago." My dad shifted uneasily. "We just wanted to talk to him. He said he could help us." "Help you what? Selling me again?" Ethan raised his hands. "It's not what you think." "Oh, really? Because it looks exactly like what I think. Betrayal." He sighed. "Aaliyah, sit down, please." I didn't move. "Start talking." He exhaled slowly. "Your husband's death, Alexander's, wasn't an accident." My blood went cold. "What did you just say?" He leaned forward. "You think he had a heart attack, but there's evidence that someone tampered with his medication. The FBI reopened his case because of that." I shook my head. "You're lying." "I'm not." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were photos, reports, emails, all pointing to one thing. Someone inside Alexander's company altered his prescriptions. "And you think that someone is me?" I said, voice trembling between anger and disbelief. He met my eyes. "I don't know yet.
But someone wants it to look like you. My mom gasped softly, clutching my father's arm. Oh my God! I glared at her. Save the act. You're just scared I'll stop sending you money. Ethan stood. Aaliyah, listen to me. I didn't leak your files. Someone else did. I found your parents because I wanted to protect them. I laughed, sharp, bitter, disbelieving. Protect them? They're the reason I ended up in hell to begin with. My dad spoke quietly. We made a mistake, Aaliyah, but not everything is about revenge. I turned to him, my voice low and dangerous. You're right. Sometimes it's about justice. That night, I didn't sleep. The folder Ethan gave me sat on my desk, mocking me. I read it again and again. The emails, the signatures, the timestamps. Every clue pointed towards someone trying to frame me. But one detail caught my eye. A signature. Familiar handwriting. Rena's. My stomach dropped. No, it couldn't be. She'd been with me since the beginning. She was loyal. She was the one person I trusted. But the paper didn't lie. The next morning, I arrived at the office early. Rena was already there, sitting at her desk, sipping coffee like nothing had happened. Morning, ma'am, she said with a smile. Close the door, I said. She blinked, sensing the shift in my tone. Is everything okay? I didn't answer. I placed the folder on her desk. Explain this. She looked down, and for the first time, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Guilt. Where did you get this? She asked quietly. So it's true. Aaliyah, you don't understand. Make me understand. She exhaled shakily. Alexander, he had enemies. I was approached years ago, before you even married him. They wanted information on his dealings, his finances. I gave them small things, nothing serious. But after he died, they came back. They wanted your files. Who are they? I don't know their names, just one. They called him the broker. My skin crawled. And you gave him everything. I thought I was protecting you. They said if I didn't cooperate, they would make it look like you killed Alexander. So you chose to betray me instead? Tears welled in her eyes. I'm sorry. I wanted to scream, cry, break something, but instead I just whispered, get out. That afternoon, my lawyer called. Miss Cross, he said gravely, the FBI wants to speak with you. They have questions about your late husband's estate. Of course they do. By nightfall, news stations were already spinning the story, billionaire widow under investigation. My empire, the one I built from ashes, was starting to crack. I called Ethan. Meet me, now. He didn't argue. Half an hour later, we sat in his car by the waterfront, rain blurring the city lights. Someone's trying to destroy me, I said, and they're using my own people to do it. He nodded. I think I know who. Who? The broker. He's been behind several corporate takedowns in the last 5 years. Blackmail, fraud, manipulation, but no one's ever seen his face. Then how do we find him? Ethan looked at me, a faint smirk forming. We don't. We make him come to us. We spent the next week crafting bait. I leaked just enough information about a fake acquisition deal, billions in hidden assets, offshore accounts, encrypted files, something irresistible to a predator like the broker. Then we waited. And on the third night, he took it. An encrypted message hit my system. You're smarter than I expected, Mrs. Cross, but not smart enough. Attached was a live feed of my parents, bound, gagged, terrified. The message continued, meet me alone at the place where it all began. Midnight. Bring your laptop. No one else. The place where it all began. Dallas. I booked a flight that night. The city felt different now, smaller, quieter, haunted. I drove to the house that wasn't mine anymore. The demolition had been delayed because of legal issues. Now I understood why. The lights were on, Inside, everything was exactly as it was years ago, like time had frozen. And then I heard a voice behind me. "Welcome home, Elia." I turned. Rena. But it wasn't the Rena I knew. Her eyes were cold, sharp, calculated. "You?" She smiled. "The broker sends his regards." My chest tightened. "You were the broker?" "Not exactly. I was his apprentice, but when he died last year, I took over. You taught me everything I needed to know. Manipulation, leverage, control. You killed Alexander. He was a liability, just like you're about to be." Before I could move, she pulled out a gun. But I wasn't the scared girl I used to be. I stepped closer, my voice calm. "You think you're in control? You think I came here unprepared?" She hesitated. That's when the sound hit. Helicopters above, red and blue lights flooding through the windows. I smiled. "You shouldn't have used hotel Wi-Fi for that message. Rookie mistake." She froze. The FBI stormed in seconds later, weapons drawn. Rena screamed as they tackled her to the ground. Ethan appeared behind them, breathing hard. "Told you she'd show up." Hours later, in the chaos of statements and flashing cameras, I finally sat down beside him. "You set her up?" I asked quietly. He shrugged. "We set her up. You wanted her to confess. I just made sure the right people were listening." For the first time in years, I felt tired. Not weak, just empty. "She was my friend," I whispered. "And you were her idol. Some people can't stand living in someone else's shadow." By morning, Rena was in custody. The FBI confirmed it all. The leaks, the framing, Alexander's murder. My name was cleared. But something inside me had changed. Power used to feel like armor. Now it felt like a cage. Ethan walked me to my car.
If you enjoyed watching this story, we would truly appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us and keeps us motivated to create more emotional and inspiring stories for you.